And we're live, everyone. This is Gamer, and now we're returning to AG's Old World tutorial series, and now we're on tutorial 3, settling your first city. But before we actually settle the first city, I know people are like, why are you teasing us like this? I realized that there are a few things I need to cover to make up for the last video. I realized I missed a few things, and I did say there was something I'm gonna cover in the next video. So regarding these two icons, so we know that these are spouses, these are, information of our character, our heir, and all of that. Now, the one that seems to have 3 people in it, or 3 people in it. Later on in the game, when you click it, it will show the 4 religions, and it will show the 3 families. So if you remember, when I said when you pick a nation, you get 3 texts, you get 2 unique units, and you have 4 families. In the end, you will have 3 families who will play a role in your nation. And if you want more information on your family, the 3 families, on the 4 religions, you just click that and you will see 4 religions. You can hover to get a lot of helpful tooltips and along with the families. And then this second to last one that looks like a house. If you click it, you will be able to see what your cities are producing. It will show the name of your city and then what it's producing, and if you have 10 cities, you'll have 10 things here. So it will take up quite a bit of room. For some people, they like that kind of layout. For me, it's not quite for me, but I'm not judging or anything, I'm just saying it's preference. And something else I forgot to mention is that order is affected by your legitimacy. So the more legitimacy you have, the more order you will get. And legitimacy will be achieved through events, through completing things like wonders and such. And as I said, order is very important because it's used for a lot of things. So if you start running out of order, you might be in some trouble. So anyways, alright, and there's one more thing I forgot. So for example, like if I'm hovering my character or leader, right? If I move away, the tooltip is gone. Now a helpful thing is if you hold in your middle mouse button, it didn't disappear. So now you could actually hover over various things. For example, you might be wondering, archetype, hero, what does that mean, right? You see trait, you see explain it, and you have hardy, and you have courage, and you have all of that. So whenever you want tooltip to stay, you just click your middle mouse button and it will stay. And sorry about that. That was the Windows saying something is ready to update. And then to get rid of it, just click wherever and it's gone. Those are probably useful things you want. So I think this could be applied anywhere. Some of them are just not very useful, right? It says wood rate. You don't care about that. But things like this, if you want to see characters because they have like different archetype and whatever, you might want to hover over to see what it means, right? And I'm not sure. Yes. So what I did is I clicked the middle mouse button to keep this on, and when I hover this and click the middle mouse button again, this stays on, and now I can check. It's like, okay, can launch offensive. What does that do? This, what does that do, right? And if you want, I don't know if there's a limit to how many you can. Yeah, your screen could get filled up very quickly, but this is something useful if you want to really analyze, right, how you are going to move forward. So middle mouse button will keep the tooltip open until you do a left click and it's gone. So settler. Selling your first city is not as simple as you think. You actually have to make a decision. Remember when I said there are 4 families that each nation have? Well, you find him here. So you have find capital, and then beside them, you have the families. So you have the Sassanid, you have the Meranid, Arsacid, Achaemenid. I'm probably butchering these. So what happens is, when you're selecting these, you'll see a couple things, right? You have find the capital, and then you have the family. I don't know why this is doubled. You have family cities. So that means that the city is controlled by the family. This is what we're doing right now, right? We're picking a family to control the city. I don't know if control is the right term, but you get the idea, right? You pick the capital to be the Sassanid, and now this city will have +2 training per year. And then you also have, as you can see, there's a bunch of bonuses, right? You also have cities always connected, and connected is basically connected to the capital, and being connected means more growth and less discontent, so like unhappiness, and -10% maintenance. So it's pretty important. And then, as you can see, and then you have the family seat. Actually, this is getting okay. If you click this, it does remove it. So family seat. I'm trying to remember what family seat is. I'll probably have to go back to that in a moment. And then it says consume 1 order, and as you can see, max family 0 out of 3. So here you can only pick 3 of these families, and basically the cities have a family that's kind of ruling over them, and they get certain bonuses. And if you look at these, you see that the family cities actually have different. And what also happens is some of them for unseat founded. So what that means is, when you find this, when you find this capital, you will get these resources the moment you get it, right? You settle, you get 50 iron, 50 wood, and 50 stone. Now, if you look at the Sassanid, they don't have that. The Arsacid have found a religion, and for the Achaemenid, I'm probably butchering that name, you get 400 civics. So it does matter on, like, this toolbar should give you some idea, but of course you don't know what's good, right? You want religion, you want civic. There are definitely a lot of choices you have to make in this case. And I just remembered what family seat is. So what happens is, if I use this city, right? If I use Sassanid for my capital will be the family seat of the Sassanid. So this will have can build units that require horse, camel, elephant. And it's the first city of each of your families. So right now I could pick one family. Maybe my second city, first one I pick Sassanid. Second one I might go Arsacid. Then the family seat will be the second city. I hope that makes sense. And in this case, it doesn't quite matter what I pick, but you know. So we have 300 of each resource. So if I click this, we actually get all the resources. Voila. And then it will ask you to pick a technology, but that's for some other time. So right now, if you look at the city, before we even go into the city view, you'll have some information. You'll have your citizens. You will start with 1 citizen. It's a citizens 1 plus 10 growth. And we're producing a settler. We have 32 out of 80 growth. 5 years. And it's a bunch of information. And citizens can be used to create new specialists. That is something we will cover in the future. And then we have discontent. You have different levels. And for your capital, at least for lower difficulties, it doesn't, like, discontent tend to decrease, but you'll notice that for your other cities it will increase, and it's something you have to address. And then we also have -20 Marinette opinion. Alright, speak of which, remember earlier I said you click this, it shows your city and it's building a settler in 5 years, which is 5 turns. And here we have family, and we have the Marinette plus 70. That's your relations. Yeah, the -20 is from their disloyalty, which you see here. But luckily for you, founded their family seat, and legitimacy all helps, and lacking luxuries. I mean, that's other things you will probably pay attention in the future. And then the third one is connected to your capital. I mean, it is the capital, so you get those benefits. Your other cities, you will actually, you might have to work for that, though. If you get assassinated, I guess you don't have to. Anyways, if we just hover over the city name, right? It shows the city, capital, is it connected or not? The family seat. It shows the HP of the city, which is 20 out of 20. And you notice that's the same for units, 20 out of 20. I didn't mean to actually enter it. And then you see the strength. Basically, it's combat strength. And you'll see what you're producing, the civics it produces, the training, the science, the money, the maintenance, and you also see the order it produces each turn. So earlier, legitimacy gives 2, the city gives 12.1, so we get 14.1, right? The math adds up, or at least it should, and then we get +2 food. And we have city, and I don't know what the ID is. ID might be just how the game processes the cities. So, and then this is the city screen. So for the city screen, it has these, basically city produces food, your money, your science, your civics, and training. Everything else is produced separately from improvements. And here is, oh wait, no, this is the same one. Yeah, that doesn't change. Now, we have growth. So growth and food are different. Growth, you have a certain amount you need to fill up, and once you gain a new citizens, once you fill up your growth, you will get a new citizen. And the way to get food, growth is through, they said farmers and baths, but you won't have access to those that early on. And growth can be affected by producing units. So for example, settler, it costs 100 food to start. So just a flat 100 food gone, and it consumes 2 food. So as you can see here, what happens is your units consume food. So if you have more units, or at least their consumption is higher than what you can produce, you will actually start losing food. So that makes things like farm very important. So the settler, once it's completed, it will consume 2 food, and to complete it, you need 80 growth. And what will happen is you will be using some of the growth your city is producing. So you definitely have to pay attention, because if you produce these units, you are actually slowing down the growth of your city. So that is something to pay attention to. And then we have training, military units. So military units also differ, like slingers cost food, consumes food. Warriors cost iron, consumes iron. And then you have different upgrades. Upgrades are a whole different, I mean, there's military units and all of that. I'll cover all of those in a future video. So as you can imagine, you will need the training to train units, and you also need training to upgrade them. And early on, training is what you use to get more order if you need it. And there's also something called forced march, but I think I'm getting off tangent, so let's return to this. And then we have civics, which, like I said, they're used for laws, specialists, and projects. And you have all of these that have their own costs, except council. So these 3 are repeatable, right? You will get them, like for example, festival help increase growth and reduces discontent. There's also culture, and then there are some different ones depending on your nation. You have hunt for Persia. I haven't played through all the nations yet, so I can't tell you how this is different, but they definitely all have festival to help discontent, and of course having more culture. And then you have the council, which is basically giving you more civics and more money. And this only costs 1 turn. So maybe you're waiting for a technology to finish in 2 turns. You would do 2 turns of this and then switch over to what you need to build. That is an option. And since these are all repeatable, you can keep doing them if you need them. Of course, you gotta remember that you are competing with all of these, since your cities can only produce 1 thing at a time. So there is a bit of planning on how you use the resources. Next, so this is what we saw earlier outside. When we hover over the name, we see the health, and we have the send or stop sending luxuries. And here we see the benefits of being a capital. I'll let y'all read that for yourself. And here is the family that's in charge of the city. And next we have governor. So you will, I mean, when it's red, basically it says you need this, right? First you need a candidate, and then you require garrison, stronghold, or citadel. So once you meet everything, you should have the choice. And then you have growth, which, as I said earlier, you fill it up, you get a new citizen. You have culture, which has different levels, and you definitely want to get more culture. And from my understanding, it's a fairly recent change at the time of this video being made. Culture levels are actually used for victory points. I think it's a recent change, and the idea is, I'm trying to remember what the previous change was. Previous was, I think, number of cities. Now it's the culture level. So instead of just getting a bunch of underdeveloped cities, now you need to reach certain levels to, show that you improved them. And what's also nice about a lot of these tooltips they'll tell you what you need, right? Here it says building shrines and Odeons help improve culture, and of course there are certain resources and whatever, so there are lots of things to pay attention to. And I realize this is already longer than my other videos, but considering how much I have to cover, I'm not surprised. Next we have discontent. So discontent is basically your unhappiness, right? Ideally you have it at level 1, and as it increases over time, it makes life harder, right? You have more maintenance, you have less growth, and if your discontent is high enough, there will be rebellions. So it's definitely something you have to watch out for. And as it says, use festivals. Festivals is something you can repeat. It reduces a set amount, and it's overall not bad. But of course, if you're trying to build other things, it does slow things down, but it just emphasizes the importance of managing your discontent. Next, we have here it says citizens, and here we have projects. We don't have any of those, so we don't have to worry about this. And down here, so even we get out of the city view, you will see this. This is basically saying the actions you have to take. Choose research, certain events, city needs to produce something. All that information will be there. And of course here you have your queue, so if I select a bunch of things, you have it all queued up saying how much time and all of that. And one thing that some people might not notice is this kind of a clock icon. So there's a cancel and there's a clock icon. If you click it, it shows you how to hurry production. Of course, there are certain requirements or certain costs, like this, as you can see, increases the future cost of this action in the city. And for a lot of these, I mean, you cannot hurry sellers, but if you can hurry a certain unit, like for example, let's say a warrior, I can move them forward, so I want to delay my seller. What you will see is the requirements, developing culture. So like your culture have different levels. Some of these are only possible if you improve your city to a certain extent. Requires sell it, requires developing culture, right? There are all of these requirements. This is something that's probably too advanced for beginners, but it's something that's helpful if you feel like you're in the end game, you're almost there, you need to get something done, and you're like, wait a minute, I remember Amateur Gamer talking about this hurry production thing. Maybe I can use it. Maybe it will win you the game. I can't guarantee, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. I didn't know this until someone pointed it out to me, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, there are lots of things that you can easily miss if you're just not paying attention. But overall, I think that's it for the city UI. Like I said, there are a ton of things. Like, there are lots of intricate mechanics and stuff, but I won't be able to cover them in a single video. And I do think that I more or less touched the, covered the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more, and there'll be more videos. And if you watched this far, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me for tutorial 4. I haven't decided on what to cover yet. I mean, there's just so much. Maybe I'll cover resources, who knows, but you'll have to find out. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you have a good one.